Shift to our next presenter, and yet another quote from Dr. Martin Luther King on this, the day when we celebrate his legacy here across the United States of America. And this quote not only, again, describes Dr. King, Walter and Lori Hoye, but also our next presenter. And the quote is, "Change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability, but it comes through continuous struggle." Our next presenter works harder than anyone else I know in the pro-life movement. He has been at this continual struggle for decades and is heroic in his pursuit of ending abortion, not just fighting it, and that's Father Frank Pavone. He serves as the National Director of Priests for Life and Missionaries of the Gospel of Life. He's the President of the National Pro-Life Religious Council, Pastoral Director for Rachel's Vineyard. Father Frank, how are you tonight?
Hi, David. Thank you so much for hosting this, and thank you to all our colleagues also who have come on tonight.
You bet. It's an honor to have you here, and I would love for you to share. I mean, you have one of the best vantage points of the breadth and the depth of the pro-life movement. Why is Walter and Lori's work so important, and perhaps any anecdotes or stories you have of your experiences with them personally?
Well, yes. Well, let me start with a kind of funny story. I remember one January being out there with Walter and Lori at the one of the protest marches that they organized there in Oakland. And it was so funny because there was a Martin Luther King rally taking place like on the adjacent property. And so we decided to crash the party. And we had Alvita with us, too. And I remember we went over there, and we just like, we acted like we owned the place, and we walked up to the podium and the platform, and we went back where all the leaders were, and they said, "Well, who are you people?" I said, "Well, this is the niece of Martin Luther King. You want her to speak, don't you?" And they were like, "Well, what are you people here for?" And we started bearing witness to them about the unborn and about abortion and how it devastates the black community. And we were just, and he was the ringleader, of course, and we were there and we said, this is great. This is like, let's go into the territory the Lord wants us to conquer, and let's do it. But so many events like that have shown what I would call the calm courage, the quiet determination, the reasoned passion that Walter exhibits in his leadership of this organization. That's why I was really delighted and commend him for having this webcast event, because, of course, I've been to the fundraising dinners that he has had out in Oakland and have always supported those. But the idea of doing a webcast is really a great one. We have done them frequently ourselves at Priests for Life, and I know that this is going to be a great benefit to the work. Now, today we heard from Alvita at the beginning, and something happened today that I want to tell you all about because it also demonstrates the fruits of a lot of Walter's work in the movement. And today there was the National King Commemorative Service in Atlanta. I always go to that, since being Alvita works with us full time. We're always together on this day at the Ebenezer Baptist Church, and at that service, year after year after year, you hear some of the most eloquent speakers talk about justice and equality, nonviolence, and intervening for the helpless and bringing everyone into the beloved community. But you never hear the word abortion. And, Alvita and I often sit there and we're like, as everyone's cheering and applauding, we're saying, well, what about the children? Don't forget the children. Well, today they had me as one of the speakers. And so today they heard about abortion. And it was marvelously received. And, the simple message that nonviolence is not nonviolence if you tolerate some violence, and that justice and equality need to be secured for the unborn. Now, the outreach to the African American community is a delicate and tricky thing, because a lot of times people will say, well, why don't we see more blacks involved in the movement? And one of the things Walter has done, he has helped the leaders of the pro-life movement, including myself, to understand some of the key dynamics of how to make the African American community feel Not simply that we're inviting them into our movement, because you see, that's the wrong question to begin with. The question is not how do we get them more involved. The question is how do we enable them to know and to feel that this is just as much their movement as it is anyone else's. That this movement belongs just as much to the Black community as to anybody else right from the beginning. So if you want to have African Americans involved in pro-life projects that you're doing, first of all, involve them from square one. Don't go ahead and plan something and then say, oh, by the way, we want everyone to participate in this. Hey, folks over here, you want to come and join us? No, it has to be, listen, we're all in this together right from the beginning. Bring your talent, bring your insights, bring yourselves, and let's do this together. Walter has taught us that, but he also taught us something related and equally important, that the Black community needs to speak to the Black community. That it's not that, nobody else can say anything, but it's that the leadership, especially the pastors, especially the churches, need to stand up and within their own communities say, like David, some of the statistics and some of the realities that you were already mentioning. This is devastating our community. This is harming us far more than anybody else in history has succeeded in harming us. And we have got to stand united against it together. I saw that again today. I saw the readiness of our African American brothers and sisters, no matter what their political affiliation, no matter what their religious background. There's a readiness there to respond to this tragedy. Why? Because this is a community that knows how to mobilize against injustice. This is a community that knows how to march for equality. This is a community that knows how to lead people into the voting booth, how to confront power with truth. This is a community that knows how to uproot social injustices that have been long cemented into the policies and court decisions of our nation. This could well be the key, the missing key to ending abortion in America, that the Black community be fully activated. David, you mentioned the perspective I'm unable to share and to see in the pro-life effort. In every community now, in every group, on every level of society, there is this interest, there is this yearning to engage the Black community. With resources like Ma'afa 21, that powerful documentary that our friend Mark Crutcher created and that Walter has also been instrumental in spreading around to so many people. Eyes are being opened, consciences are being awakened. And our friends in the Black community are realizing, hey, wait a minute, we can see this clearly, but our political leaders in the Democrat Party don't seem to see it very well. And so now there's a tension, there's a conflict brewing, and it's like, we see this, now we've got to make them see it, and we've all got to speak up about this. Walter and Laurie have been playing a key role in helping other pro-life leaders, groups large and small, to say we are all in this together. We are, there are ways, it's not a lost cause. Don't think that, Blacks are sitting on the sidelines here. They're not, and they are ready to fight with us for the unborn, all of us together. So I want to thank them for that, and I want to encourage everybody on this call. When you support this ministry financially and also just by spreading the word about what Walter and Laurie are doing and the materials they put out and the events that they conduct, you're helping the entire movement put into place, as I said, what may be the final piece of the puzzle to really go over the finish line here and get our public policy changed once and for all to support these babies. I'm privileged to be part of this with you, Walter and Laurie, and look forward to seeing you later this month. And together, we are going to see the victory for our unborn brothers and sisters, and your work will be a big part of getting there to that victory. So, David, thank you again for hosting and for letting me say some words.
Thank you very much, Father Frank. And again, you always have some of the most profound words and are such an inspiration to me and to everyone else here and to the entire pro-life movement.